Hey there friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and there's a new broken combination in Destiny 2 that's absolutely deleting bosses. So, of course, I had to make my own build with it, test it out in Dungeons and Contest of Elders, and it's insane. It does so much damage. Obviously, it's a glitch. Bungie is already aware and plans to correct this in a future patch, so I highly recommend taking advantage of this while you have time. Another quick PSA about this: if you are doing Contest of Elders and completing the side objectives to increase Warden's favor, be careful deleting the bosses so fast that you never even get to that stage, because you won't get those additional rewards. Just something to keep in mind. The combination I'm talking about: Syntheseps and Exotic Gauntlets combined with the Sentinel Shield Super, and you add in the Tractor Cannon and do insane damage. I sometimes would forget to even use the Tractor Cannon and would still melt bosses in no time flat. It is insane. So how this works is super simple. You get your super, you pop your super after you use your Tractor Cannon on the boss, and just use a couple light attacks into a heavy attack and watch their health bar disappear. For my build, I am going to use the Chroma Rush with Killing Wind and Kinetic Tremors. This is just a new auto rifle that I really enjoy. I think Kinetic Tremors are underrated at this point, and I really have a good time using this one of my favorites in the game right now. Then I'm also using the VS Velocity Baton. I love these new aerial denial frame grenade launchers because they just feel like Wither Horde at home, and so I'm a big fan. I don't have the best roll on this, unfortunately, but this is a good option, especially on the Void subclass, where you can essentially get the volatile rounds all the time with this grenade launcher. Also, then in the heavy slot, you've got the Tractor Cannon. This is to do that additional damage with your super. As far as the subclass, I'm rocking the Sentinel Shield, of course. I threw on Towering Barricade, whichever one you want is fine. Shield Bash is really nice here. I do like using it pretty consistently. Get that overshield, do a bunch of damage in comparison to the shield throw. Then I'm also using the Vortex Grenade, but you can use whatever grenade you want. You're going to want to have on Bastion and Offensive Bulwark. These are really nice for getting overshields to stay alive, grenade charges faster, and cast your super to grant overshield to nearby allies as well. You're going to be doing that to go into close combat with the bosses, so it is very helpful if your teammates are also doing the same thing. So as far as the fragments go, I'm using Instability. This is going to give me the volatile rounds on my Void weapons. Cessation, so I can defeat those volatile targets to create Void Breach. Then we will defeat weakened targets thanks to the artifact mods to create Orbs of Power and Void Breaches. Again, this will be helpful for getting your abilities back, but also your Orbs of Power, so that way you can cast your super more often. And then you're going to be picking up, use Echo of Starvation to pick up the Void Breach, or Orb of Power to get Devourer as well, so you get the healing, the overshield very, very consistently. Some of the artifact perks that you're going to want to use: Supernova, so you pick up a Void Breach, cause your next source of void damage to create a large weakening pulse. So with your grenade launcher, you will create the weakening pulse, you will weaken bosses if you need to with that as well, and you will also making the enemies volatile with your grenade launcher as well. So it's a nice combination there that I really, really enjoy. Also served cold, so that way picking up a Void Breach grants you melee energy. This is nice to have your melee as often as possible. Obviously, your melee is going to be stronger because you have on Syntheseps, so it buffs that on top of your super as well. Debilitating Wave is fine, but not really necessary. There's just not a lot of options there. Concussive Reload is nice, especially if you're using it against enemies. You only use your super against the bosses, so if you're facing like mini bosses or champions or anything like that, that's where Concussive Reload really comes in handy. Curative Orbs, and then the Thick of It is nice, as well as Power from Pain, so that way as you're weakening, you're granting Devour pretty consistently. Rapid Impacts is also nice as well, and then Authorized Mods melee is pretty handy. As far as the mods on your armor go, Void Siphon is nice, hands-on can be good, special ammo finder as well, maybe heavy ammo finder if you're using your Tractor Cannon a lot. Then we got melee kickstart. I want my melee back as often as possible. Font of Vigor can be nice, and then Void Loader as well. This is helpful for both your grenade launcher as well as your tractor cannon. We've got a damage resist of whatever activity you're taking on. Concussive dampener can be nice, and then Void Reserves. Better Already Absolution and Void Weapon Surge. You don't really need Better Already necessarily, and could swap this out for Invigoration for the melee cooldown instead. It's just if you are staying alive or not will make that difference. Absolution and then Void Weapon Surge is also nice for both of your weapons. And then we've got Distribution and Reaper, and then something like Outreach can be super helpful as well in that last slot. So overall, the gameplay loop is pretty straightforward. You're going to lead with either your grenade or your melee, follow up with a shot from your velocity baton or grenade launcher you have in that slot. You can use a wave grenade launcher as well instead of the velocity baton, or whatever grenade launcher you want in that slot, but I just think it comes in really handy. As far as from there, you want to be very careful about not using your super unless you are taking down the boss, because you want to make sure you have it for that boss round, the boss phase, the damage phase that you're taking on, because otherwise you're going to have to make sure that you charge it back and get it quickly. Now, if you're running multiple of these, if you're running 3 of these titans in an activity, even the highest health gated bosses in the game will get absolutely destroyed. It is insane to watch, and so because of that, I definitely think people should be running this now. If you are struggling to get a clear, if you're struggling to get damage on certain bosses, this is the time to do that. Maybe you want to farm the new Vespers Host boss in order to get this as many new weapons as possible, and this is going to be a great way. But also, you'll see from the gameplay that I got clears of the Contest of Elders in under 30 minutes at tier 3, so you're getting lots of rewards by doing so. And so definitely take advantage of this if you haven't gotten clears on anything, or if you're struggling with any activities. This is going to help you out tremendously. You're going to be doing so much damage to bosses. It's insane. I might not recommend this for GMs unless you're able to survive and getting close with your super to delete these bosses, because what ends up happening is if you use it and then you end up wiping because maybe you die to damage nearby or something like that, it can cause some problems. So just be aware of that. But in something like dungeons or raids or Contest of Elders, any activities like that, you're typically going to be okay when you don't have to play it quite as safe. So just keep that in mind. It is useful. It is very effective in Grandmasters if you are able to survive. That's where overshields and all that stuff comes in handy quite a bit, but just something to be aware of. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This is absolutely insane right now. It's going to be hard to use anything else until the patch hits and this has been fixed. But for now, use it, abuse it, love it. My name is JoPa. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a good one. I'll catch you all later.